I'm an internal wholesaler here at Nationwide. I support a slew of different states, but mostly the Midwest and the upper East Coast, Ohio, Michigan, Kentucky, Tennessee, and then up on the East Coast, it's Boston, Massachusetts is a big state for me, and then Rhode Island, Delaware, Vermont, some of those really up there territories that don't have as much WFG production, but I still help support those smaller offices. So whenever I talk about the teams that I support, the states I support, that always goes by office address. So if you're a newer agent, you're just getting licensed, your office address will be your SMD or whoever your upline is. So if that's Mahesh, then that would be Ohio, and I would be the one that supports you. So if you ever have any questions on that, you don't know who to reach out to, or if I am the right person, still give me a call. Even if you're not the right person, I promise I'll still help you. I'm a pretty nice guy. If not, I'll get you to the right person who can help you as well. So we're going to talk a little bit about running illustrations today. Before we do that, though, I want to talk just about the New Heights product as well. It's become super popular in WFG over the past year since we launched it almost a year ago now. So I think it's important that we know the difference between the two products. So I'll go ahead and share my screen here. And hopefully you should see a piece that says know the difference here. And this is going to just talk about purely the difference between our Accumulator 2 and our New Heights IUL as well. They're both fantastic products. They're both built on that same Index Universal Life chassis. They're here for that tax-free cash value that you can access, which I'll show on an illustration. Still have a low cost design. A lot of the same management services. If you've sold an IUL before, you can use all those same services, the pending life tracker, the automated income monitor, if they do decide to utilize that income benefit. And they're backed by Nationwide, Fortune 100 company. For anyone, again, that's a little bit newer on the call, we're Fortune, I think we're about 96 or something like that. I forget. The number gets updated every year, but we're a Fortune 100 company. We've been here almost 100 years, plan on being here the next 100 is what I always tell people. So if you need any more information on Nationwide as a whole, I can always help provide some of our financial strength breakdown, some of our assets, how we run as a company as well. But instead, right now, let's talk about these two IULs. So the Indexed UL Accumulator 2 2020, or IUL Accumulator, that has been our long track record cash value accumulation IUL product. It's the most popular product we sell with World Financial Group. Last year, in all of the cases that we sold with WFG at the end of the year, the IUL Accumulator made up 87% of those sales. And if you think about 50,000 applications that we placed in force with WFG, that is a significant amount that were in this IUL Accumulator. But ever since we launched this New Heights on the right, we've had a lot of interest in that product as well and seen some of those cases start to go towards this New Heights product. So when we're talking about the original IUL, it has a long track record because it works with the same familiar indexes we've all known for a long time. Your Dow Jones, your S&P 500, the NASDAQ, those are all used in that multi-index strategy, and has a high growth option with a 20% high cap strategy. So this is a product that has a long track record. It has markets we know, has performance we can historically look back at. But the New Heights product is a little bit different. It's based on behavioral finance. For anyone that's a little bit unfamiliar with behavioral finance, back in the 1950s, modern portfolio theory was kind of the go-to for managing your portfolio. And what that theory was based on is that people investing their money are smart about it and always make the right decision, which everyone on this call, they don't. That's why you exist and that's why I exist. So modern portfolio theory, we would base all of our metrics on people are going to buy low and they're going to sell high. And we realized over time, that's just not what people do every time. So instead, we created this New Heights product based on behavioral finance. Behavioral finance kind of looks at the opposite of that. They say people are not smart all the time. They get scared when the market drops and they sell. And when the market gets super high, they buy because they think it's going to keep going up and they end up losing a lot of money. So the indexes on the New Heights are based on our latest theories from Roger Ibbotson, who's a great scholar, Nobel Prize winner, who kind of pioneered this behavioral finance topic, this behavioral finance aspect they use for their product. So it has the latest theories there. Now, as a con to this product, These theories have only been around and these strategies have only been around for about 10 years. So while they're based on some great assumptions, they do different weightings of the product. Excuse me, they do different weightings of the different markets, of the different strategies to make sure that they're not utilizing any stocks that are overvalued or kind of volatile stocks. They want to try to get consistent positive returns. That's the main difference, is that this is based on new ideology, doesn't have a long track record. So you might have some clients that won't be very familiar with that and won't like the idea of a strategy that's only been around 10 years, and instead will want to lean towards the left side with the accumulator, with the S&P, the NASDAQ, markets we know, markets we've trusted, that we can historically look back a little bit better. Now with the New Heights, we can obviously forecast historical lookbacks based on numbers we have today, but they're not as accurate as you might see with the regular accumulator. So New Heights product, latest theories, has a new strategy in the JP Morgan Mosaic that gives you foreign exposure to stocks. And I should have had this piece already pulled up, but it looks like I didn't. So give me one moment here. So this Mosaic strategy with the original accumulator, we always got some feedback that said we want more exposure to markets outside of the US with our products, which is a great idea. It's always great to be outside of one of the markets and able to use other ones in case one of them were to fail or anything like that were to happen. And this JP Morgan Mosaic Index is exactly that. Does a good breakdown here on the right side. And any of the materials you see, don't worry, I'll make sure to send them to Mahesh after this so we can provide them to you. But this is a good breakdown of our Morgan Mosaic strategy. There's two main strategies with the New Heights product. One of them is this JP Morgan Mosaic. It's a 3-step process. The index measures a 6 months return of 15 global assets. You can see them on the right side. Some of them you'll be familiar with. The fixed income, 10-year, 5-year US Treasury notes, equities, the NASDAQ 100, the S&P 500 is in there. But also we have JGBs from Japan, the TOPIX index in Japan. We have the FTSE 100 index in Great Britain. So you get a little bit more exposure outside of the US market to help against that volatility that can come with some different aspects that can bring markets down. So this each month, this strategy, they're going to look at all of these, look at the 6-month returns, select 9 of these asset classes, weight them out, strategically weight them to provide a stable return. And then they're going to do that each month to consistently get a good return out of these strategies here. So that's kind of how this strategy works. On the flip side, we have the Zebra Edge Index, which is the other strategy with the New Heights product. And that is focused on our US equities. It looks at all 500 of them, takes out 300 of the most overvalued, most volatile ones, and then weights the rest and gives you a positive return. That's their goal. They want to take out any risk from overvalued volatile stocks that can jump up and down. The one I always use is Tesla. Everyone thinks the Tesla stock is overpriced. It's got to come down at some point. It hasn't, but that's one that they probably wouldn't utilize in the Zebra Edge due to how it can be a little bit volatile depending on what Elon Musk wants to tweet that day about whatever's going on. So that's something they'd probably remove. So New Heights product, 2 main strategies based on behavioral finance, Zebra Edge, Morgan Mosaic, lower volatility, and advanced planning that we can utilize with that product. So this is, what preference does your client have is what this piece does a great job talking about for the well-known indexes. Does it want to understand and track performance of the underlying indexes that we have, the ones we know, or are they comfortable with these proprietary indexes based on well-known economists, well-known theories that are a little bit newer? They could get more consistent positive returns on this right side, but on the left side, more historically safe, more data that we can compare. They're easily able to look at backcasted performance. And here's these strategies again, the JP Morgan Mosaic, the Zebra Edge. On the left side, strategies the multi-index monthly average, looks at our 3 main markets, the NASDAQ, Dow Jones, S&P 500, balances those out 50% to the best performing index, 30% to the second best, 20% to the third best. We take all those weightings and we apply that as a credit to the policy. The S&P 500 index on both of these as well that we can utilize. So what's your client's tolerant of risk? That's always the question with both of these. Are they high risk, medium risk, low risk? Both strategies can help meet those clients' needs. But again, it's based on what we just talked about above, the behavioral finance aspect, how new that information is, those strategies are compared to the regular accumulator that's a little bit more set in stone, has a little bit more history with it. Here's a list of all the strategies. I won't go through each one, but the main difference you'll notice is on the right side are these participation rates. This has been a big reason why the New Heights product has become so popular. At the end of last year, there was a change in the life insurance industry where we got rid of multipliers, or at least what they originally looked like, which was if we had a policy, we had different strategies and we'd have different multiplier bonuses we'd credit after the strategy performed for its full year and matured. Life insurance regulations came through and said, no, these aren't in best interest of the client. You're showing them something that could happen that might not, yada, yada, led to us getting rid of multipliers. And instead, what you'll see with a lot of carriers around the country is participation rates, similar to multipliers, but they work on the front end of the product. So if I'm looking at a JP Morgan Mosaic 2 strategy that has a 135% participation rate, if we were to get a 10% return in this strategy, we would credit the policy 13.5% because this is the participation rate we started with. And you'll see we have some relatively high participation rates. The 2-year JP Morgan Mosaic is 190%. On the bottom, we have these Choice Plus strategies that are just the same strategies you'll see above with a bonus to their participation rate for a 1% charge. This is why this product is so popular, is these participation rates. It lets your clients get higher returns than they would with the regular participation rates. But on the flip side, due to the way the product's set up, due to the way the strategies are aligned, this product is not meant for booming, strong returns. In this New Heights product, you're not going to see consistent 15%, 20%, 25% returns from the market like you might on the IUL accumulator if you were in this high cap strategy, for instance, or the uncapped strategy where you don't have a cap for how much you could earn in a booming market. So you could get up to 40% on this left side if you wanted to. New Heights doesn't want to do that. The way their strategies are set up, they want consistent positive growth around that 6 to 10% through the life of the product, which most people would be happy with. But if you have some clients that are a little bit more excited about the left side, the original product that has an uncapped strategy and a high cap strategy for booming results, that's where you'd want to be. So this is a great piece to have, provide with your clients, be able to discuss with them kind of the differences. So I'll send this out to everyone. But we're going to get to the meat and bones of why I'm here tonight, which is running illustrations. We'll spend the next 30 minutes or so just talking through a couple illustration scenarios, the way that I would run them and what those would look like. So first off, for anyone new on the call, if you're looking to go and find out where do you even get this illustrator, I always say start at nationwidefinancial.com/WFG. You're the only firm that has their own part of our website because of how much business you do and how important everyone is to us that works with WFG. So anytime you're starting out looking for something, go here. As just an example, if you wanted more information on our products here, you could click it. It'll take you down to our life insurance and our annuities here. I'll just click the yellow button that says explore our life offerings. And here you can take a look, learn more between IULs versus our LTC linked benefit product Care Matters. Or if you're just looking at IUL products, you can look at our accumulator, our protector, all the different brochures we have available will be right here on the website for you. So anytime you're looking for something, start on nationwidefinancial.com/WFG. If you're trying to get to our Illustrator software, it's even simpler. Simply go to products, under resources, click on tools. It'll bring you here to illustrations, and you just need to click on the life button, which is tools by product here. As it'll take a minute to load for me. This will open up our illustration section. It'll have our Illustrator, our Care Matters quick quote tool, which is a little tougher to say than I expected there. But you can use this Nationwide Life Illustrator online, or you can download it to your computer. I always recommend downloading it to your computer so you can have it anywhere you are to run the quotes with your clients. Also, a little button you'll see below, it says add from favorites, add to favorites, or remove from favorites. If this was a lot of steps and you don't want to do this all the time, simply click the add to favorites button under it. Then at your name at the top right here, if you click the little favorites tab, it'll have your Nationwide Life Illustrator online tool. I also have a couple others here that I use often, so you can favorite different parts of the website that you like, that you use a lot. So that's where you'll find it. Now I'm going to pull up our illustrator. I already have it ready here. I'm going to run an Ohio illustration since Mahesh obviously is in Ohio. I'm based in Ohio with this nationwide Columbus, Ohio home office. Although I've been working at home for quite a while, I just started going back in the office. So that's always something I enjoy, seeing my teammates, being able to actually talk to a person throughout my day, not lose my mind a little bit as some of us have this past year. So we're going to look at New Heights IUL illustrations today. I'm going to focus on two of them. One's going to be just for a Henry, as we like to call it. If you've done different trainings with me in the past, you might have heard me use this term. We call Henrys kind of our young business earners. It stands for high earner, not rich yet. These are people that are making a lot of money and they don't know what to do with it, or they just don't really have a plan for it. I have a few friends that I could use as an example. They're all in their early 30s, around 30 to 32. They do investment banking. When they first graduated from college, they fell into financing for retirement homes, which is a very small niche market, and they ended up being extremely successful, being able to make a lot of money. Annual income is probably around $250,000 a year, which as a 30-year-old, if I was making that much money, I don't know what I would do with all of it. So that's a good example of what a high earner, not rich yet would look like. Someone that had a great degree, got into a great employment, great job, great career. Now they're making a lot of money. So this is about a 30-year-old male we're going to take a look at. We're going to leave this at preferred non-tobacco. You can always add your first and last name of the client you want. I'll leave it as valued client, and we'll jump to our face amount and premium section here. So for our total specified amount option, if I'm talking to a Henry, if I'm talking to a client that is making money and they want to see what this money can do for them, they want to look at different investment opportunities. I want to show them this product as a cash value, income tax-free utilization for when they're going into retirement. So I'm going to set this total specified option as minimum non-MEC. Now, the reason I'm doing that is because it's going to give us the lowest face amount possible while allowing us to put in whatever premium amount we want. So the lower the face amount, the less costs that are associated with the product. Therefore, more of their money is going to go towards the cash value versus paying for $1 million face amount or whatever it might be. I'm going to leave this as GPT, the increase initial death benefit section, not something I utilize ever, so I wouldn't just kind of ignore it. Leave this as GPT, and then change this death benefit option as optimal switch. Optimal switch is probably one of the best features we have in our illustrator. It's going to start your policy off as increasing death benefit, meaning your death benefit will increase year over year with your premium you're putting into it. But that gets really expensive as you get older later on in life. Having an increasing policy can be pretty expensive, take away from your cash value even. So what we want to do is set it as optimal switch. The illustrator is going to automatically look at how much premium we're putting in, look at what number of years we're paying for, and then it's going to calculate to what year we should switch it to level to optimize the costs and the product that have taken out of it, how expensive increasing would be, yada, yada. A lot of words to just say. Optimal switch will tell you when's the best time to switch it to level to make the most out of your cash value growth. So GPT, optimal switch, minimum non-MEC, those three factors are what you want to run in an income scenario that you're specifically showing a client. Now, once we calculate this, there may be a face amount that your client still needs in terms of their life insurance, and you can kind of find a happy middle ground in between these. But this is kind of your max funding income scenario, your max cash value you can get out of it. So for scheduled premium, this is where we'll need to know our numbers. We can either solve for the death benefit or we can solve for the premium. If we're running an income scenario, we want to have a premium in mind that we're putting into the policy. So they're 30 years old, having a lot of success. We're going to put this in as $1,000 for the first 5 years. And then after that, change it to $1,500 from years 6 to 10. And then we'll do 2,000 from years 11 to age 65. This is a normal kind of stair stepper. Anytime you run these illustrations, if you were to issue the policy, we're not automatically going to change the premium going into the product at some point. if you run an illustration like this and we issue the policy this way. Instead, we just send a notice out to your client and you saying, hey, when you first issued this policy, year 6, you wanted to make this premium adjustment. Do you still want to? If so, give us a call. A lot of the times clients want to either put a little more in, put a little less, make a slight change depending on how the product's performed. So this is just kind of a reminder to say, this is how we started the product. How do you want to move forward? So this is the stair stepper we're going to look at. They're doing $1,000 first 5 years, $1,500 for the next 4 years. They've advanced a little bit better. Then past that, we'll just show $2,000 to age 65. At that point, we expect their career is kind of plateaued into a pretty great position. It's 10 years down the road. They're in their 40s at that point. They're probably relatively established with their portfolios if they've continued in the career they were in. So this should be a number they should be able to manage along with the other assets they're utilizing. So we click OK there. Monthly is fine. We're not doing a lump sum premium. There's no lump sum they need to do since they're, again, a Henry, a high earner, not rich yet. They're making enough money to just kind of fund the policy and use whatever other money they have for other assets, other things in their portfolio. So then we go to interest rate and income. All of these percentages here, just put them at the highest assumed interest rate. And when I say put them at the highest assumed interest rate, that is just based on my own experience. I'm kind of looking at these numbers, looking at historical look back numbers. Anytime we're running these illustrations, Nationwide's motto is kind of under promise, over deliver. If you're looking at historical look back numbers, our highest assumed interest rate we can run the product at is usually just below what our estimated historical performance is. So running it at that max rate is usually a pretty safe bet for your clients. Now you'll see that these two Choice Plus strategies at the bottom are 7.39%, which is decently higher than some of the other strategies you're seeing here. None of these strategies are going to show significantly more income than the other ones. Even though they have higher assumed interest rates, this is 7.39, the other one's 6.32. There's a 1% charge that this one isn't showing here. And another regulation change we had last year made it so all of our index options have to illustrate almost identically when it comes to performance. So you won't see a significant difference between any of these strategies when you're running the illustrations. So you can select pretty much any of them and instead have that conversation with your client about what each strategy could potentially do and what each of them mean. So it makes it a little bit easier for you to run the illustrations and instead have that conversation really focused on which strategies do you like as a client. So for the premium allocation, I'll pick any of them. I'll just use the 2-year JP Morgan Mosaic here. It's an average assumed interest rate of 6.32%. Don't need a rider on this one necessarily. We could add one if we wanted to, but since this client is really focused on cash value growth, that's what we're going to do. We're going to click the calculate button at the top and calculate how much cash value they could have access to later on in their lives. So this is a basic, very normal income scenario we run all the time. Minimum non-MEC, GPT, and optimal switch. Those 3 factors are always what you want to remember when you're trying to maximize the cash value growth. After you run those numbers, you can get an idea of where their cash value starts out at, or where their death benefit starts out at, I should say. And then at that point, you can decide, do I want to raise this death benefit a little bit? Is this over how much life insurance they need? Is it under? And kind of find that happy medium. And that's going to be in the best interest of your client. So anytime you're running these scenarios also, it's calculating for a lot of different factors. It's calculating when to switch to level, calculating the death benefit growth, that stair stepper of premium, changing that every 5 years. So it takes a little bit longer to calculate, usually about 30 seconds to a minute. Luckily, I'm pretty good at talking, so I can speak for most of the time while it's spinning and continue to entertain you. But it does usually take a little bit of extra time, so you'll have to bear with me there. After this illustration, I'll also run a normal kind of New Heights solve, a situation where we kind of call it $1 million baby, which is we start putting in money for a child right when they're born, around age 1, pay a lower premium through their life, and then at age 65, you'll see their cash value is equally up there around $1 million for not as much premium as you would probably expect. So we'll see if this illustrator can handle this calculation for me. Please. Yeah. I was going to say, I love the hat. Yeah, definitely. Definitely. Well, luckily you were right on time with that comment as the illustration finished here. So I'll go to our non-guaranteed tab, and this looks like this specified amount is right around $500,000. So if you wanted to increase it a little bit, you could do so. If you wanted to decrease it a little bit, it wouldn't let as much premium go into the product, but you could adjust for that as needed. So you'll see this death benefit right below option 2 increasing, switching to option 1 level in year 27. So year 27 is when the Illustrator software said, if we put in this much premium at these exact times, and we earn assumed interest rate of 6.32% for the life of the product, this is the most beneficial time to switch it to level. Now, is your client going to follow this exact premium schedule? Are we going to get 6.32% for the life of the product? No, Nationwide can't see into the future. Neither can your clients. And trust me, they're going to make some change to their premium or what they want to do. So this is, again, an estimation, non-guaranteed kind of look at what could this product potentially do. So they're putting in these $1,000 a month. You'll see the cash value on our right side. Anytime we're looking at these illustrations, we want to look at the right column on the non-guaranteed tab. That's going to be our assumed interest rate of 6.32%. And that's going to be where you'll see the cash value grow. So cash value is growing. We'll jump ahead a little bit here. We're at $1.4 million at age 60. We stop taking income, or we stop putting money in, I should say, at age 65, and we have just about $2 million in cash value that they have access to. So we've put in $750,000 into this product. They've got $2 million of cash value. At this point, they can choose to take out income, or maybe they get to that point and they don't need the income. Maybe they just want to save it for their kids, save it for whoever their beneficiaries might be. If that's the case, they can do exactly that. Let the policy continue to grow on its own. Let's say they pass away at age 90, their beneficiaries are getting a $10 million death benefit policy. Let's say science continues to advance and they pass away at age 100, they get $17 million in death benefit. Let's say they're an alien and they live to age 120, then they'll get $62 million in death benefit. I highly doubt they're going to live to age 120, but you never know. It's always fun to just kind of look at how high that death benefit might get. So going back to kind of a normal number to look at, let's say they're at 65, they see this $2 million, they want to start taking income out. This is where you'll go back to that interest rate and income tab. And the only thing you need to do, don't worry about which loan type you're taking. Don't worry about the withdrawal cap, the loan interest payment. Just click this little calculator calendar looking button next to distribution amounts. Change this amount to solve. And the only thing you need to do is specify what ages you want it to be. Anytime you're setting an age in the Illustrator, you just put the letter A in front of it, like I did with the premium when I set it to age 65. So we'll show income coming from age 66 to age 80. Adding another parameter in here. Hopefully the Illustrator doesn't take the rest of the meeting to calculate. I assume it'll move a little bit quicker to give us that number there. But any questions so far on the difference between the two products, illustration that I'm running, anything like that?
Just a suggestion, Colin, if you stop sharing screen, maybe it'll go faster.
Yeah, let me try that. That might work. You never know. Yeah, anytime you're calculating for all these different parameters, it does take a little bit of extra time to get it all calculated, but usually it's a little quicker. Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely. So anytime you have any clients in your mind and you're trying to run an illustration and it's not coming out correctly, or you want to make sure it's exactly what you're trying to do for your client, that's when you can call me. We can get on one-on-one Zoom meetings like this, or you can call our sales desk. A lot of fantastic reps on that. If I'm unavailable, or if it's after I'm here or anything like that, I'm in a meeting, they can also jump on a one-on-one Zoom call and you can tell them, hey, I've got a 42-year-old client. They want to get cash value growth for age 65. They want to start taking income. This is how much they have to contribute. Does that make sense? Am I looking at the right product? Can you run it with me? That's always what kind of our, I wouldn't say our best, but kind of what we do the best is those meetings, those one-on-ones really help you kind of know what you're doing with your client. I mean, there's a lot of times where I'll meet with an agent, a financial professional, and they'll say, this is what I want. This is what the client wants. And my immediate answer is, well, we're not going to be able to do that because they don't have enough premium they're putting in. They're too old. They have diabetes. They're not going to get the rating they need. So it's always good to double check that with me or the sales desk or anyone here. Right, exactly. So it looks like it finished calculating here. Mahesh, that was a great suggestion. Thank you for the stopping sharing. So if we go back through, you'll see we have a new column that was added. So we've got this loan/partial surrenders and total loan balance column here, but we still have our normal columns on the right side showing our cash value growth. So let's jump ahead, go to age 65. So our loan/partial surrenders, you'll see the client is getting $218,000 annually in income out of the product. So they've put in $750,000. After 5 years, they've already made their money back. After another 5 years, they're at 2.1 million. If we go to age 80, they're taking out $3.2 million in income for 15 years, 200 grand a year. I know when I retire, if I'm still getting 200 grand a year, I'll be perfectly happy with my life. If I start making 200 grand a year tomorrow, I'll be perfectly happy with my life. So this is a great quote to show your clients. You'll see on the right side, even though we took all this income out, there's still a residual death benefit that we have left here. Now you can set this illustration to run a lower death benefit. If you go to case design and you go to face amount and premium, you'll see this little bottom section. It says target cash value. If I were to change this from endow to, let's say, any number, $10,000, then it would set that as the target cash value / death benefit to have remaining in this policy. Leaving it as endow has the illustration set a goal of having at least the death benefit that you initially started with after your client takes out income. So if you want to change that target cash value to a number like 10,000, get as much income out of the product, you can. From my experience running these quotes, it's not as beneficial to get slightly more income out in these scenarios and tanking your death benefit as it is to leave it as endow. If I were to change it to $10,000, instead of us getting a premium income of 3.2 million, we might get 3.4 million, which is about $130,000 more. But you'd be missing out on 260, 280, almost $300,000 in death benefit that can still go to your client's beneficiaries. Now, I don't know your clients. Not all of them are even going to care about the death benefit. You may have a client says, hey, I have no interest in kids. I have no grandkids, families. I hate them. I just love me. In those situations, change the target cash value to $10,000. Let them take their money, do whatever they want with it. This is just a good way to leave it. So if you're working with a family, they have an extra death benefit. So this is an income scenario showing a big income coming in this column. Any questions on this first quote before I move to another one?
Colin, this is Vikram.
Yeah.
Is there a way, if we, in Nationwide, is there an option to take, what's it called, the alternate loan?
Yep. So if you look,
and would the distributions be significantly different if we do that?
So if you look at our loan types here on the interest rate and income section, we have an alternative loans part. You won't actually be able to show a higher income between the two of them. Any of that you'd be seeing after you place the policy in force, utilizing the alternative loans there. I'll include a piece we have on those to Mahesh that you can review that goes into some of the details, the alternative loans, kind of what the numbers look like with that. But it is an option that we have available.
So in the illustration, we cannot show the declared rate or the alternate loan rate. Is that correct?
Yeah, with the illustration, the alternative loan rate is still not going to perform as well as the declared rate because we're pretty conservative with the alternative loans in the illustration software, just because, if you have a client that has a few bad years with alternative loans, it can really start to tank their cash value. So we generally are pretty conservative with it, don't show as high of an income with it as we might with the declared. So I'll include a piece to Mahesh that has the alternative loans on there as well that you can review. And if you want me to go over a couple other illustrations, after this one-on-one, we can always do that. So that's our first income scenario. One great button on this illustrator, I always like to highlight when I do these trainings, is this add plan button in the top left. If you're running multiple scenarios for your clients, click add plan, click copy of the current plan, and then name it whatever you want. This one's going to be $1 million baby quote. At the top, you'll see it pops up a little bar where it'll have your initial premiums, your lump sum, your cash value at age 65. So if you wanted to look at different numbers and compare them all side by side, this is a quick, easy way to put up 3 to 4 illustrations, just change the premiums and see across the board what the cash value change would look like. So I always like to highlight that button as well. So this is going to be a very different quote though. Instead, we're going to put this to 1, change the rating to standard non-tobacco as that's our highest rating for juveniles. This is an example of $1 million baby quote. They come out of the womb, you love them more than everything in the world, and you want to protect them immediately. For our underwriting basis, I think it's 14 days after a child is born that we'll consider them for life insurance, which is pretty crazy. But I'll set it as 1 just to be a little safer. Same thing as before, minimum non-MEC, GPT. I'm just going to leave this as increasing, and I'm going to put in $100 for the first 5 years, $150 for the next 5, and then $200 to age 65. Now, this is just an example showing you putting in money, much smaller amounts for a child as they're kind of growing into their lives here. I'm going to remove the solve for income. Put that at 0. Actually, I'll just clear it. And then I'm going to calculate this one as well. If you were looking again at multiple quotes for the same client, you could click this little button to the left, process, and change it to all plans. That would calculate every plan that you have up here. So if you finally get all these quotes together, you have 4 different income scenarios, or you have 2 scenarios with income and then 2 with the same numbers with the LTC rider. You could change this to all plans and it would calculate all 4 of them at once. Takes a little bit longer, but again, great for comparing for your clients. I'm just going to leave it as current plan since this is a new client again, different client, $1 million baby. I'll stop share again, see if this works a little bit faster, as Mahesh suggested before. But again, this is $1 million baby quote. You're looking at the cash value growth coming into the policy, looking at trying to get that cash value close to $1 million once they hit age 65. So looks like it just finished. So juveniles, always a little bit quicker to calculate, so that's great. So this is what it looks like here. At age 1, putting in $100 a month. Let me grab my little spotlight again. Put in $100 a month. One of the big benefits with these $1 million baby quotes is this death benefit option is so cheap early on that we can take care of a lot of those costs, that we can leave it increasing for the life of the policy. So this will go all the way to age 120. And if they were to pass away and not use the cash value, they would get the cash value and the death benefit paid out to them. That's a big benefit of the increasing death benefit option. Now, again, with some of your older clients like before, if you're trying to maximize cash value, it's best to switch it to level at some point because it can really start to get expensive. For these super young clients, it's so cheap to do it that you can run increasing for all years and just let the cash value and the death benefit continue to run. So we're paying $100 a month, first 5 years, then $150, then $200. We'll jump ahead here. Since this is a 1-year-old client, we're paying to age 65. So we've put in $144,000. Age 65, we have 1.2 million in accumulated value. And we can do the same thing as we did before. We can show cash value being taken out of this policy on income, go to this distribution amount, click solve, age 66 to 80. Watch it take the income out of the policy. Again, it's a juvenile policy, so hopefully it's a little bit easier here. Since we're doing some lower numbers, it'll calculate a little bit quicker. But this is always an easy sale for your clients that may have just had a baby. You can show them an example of this of them putting in money, smaller amounts, $100, $200 a month to age 65, and their clients are millionaires for a policy that they may have never seen before in their lives. So look at non-guaranteed, age 65, they're getting $129,000 in income. They're almost getting as much in income as they put in for the life of the product in the first year here. Come to age 80, they've taken out almost $2 million in income. So another great solution you can show to your clients in these situations. Again, a residual death benefit is remaining as well. So any questions on this juvenile policy? I know it's a little bit simpler than the last one we looked at.
Colin, Uday here. I'm glad you brought up this juvenile one.
Mm-hmm.
How about the how the taxes work on the gifting to them now? Right now, the parent will be the owner of the policy, right?
Mm-hmm. Correct.
So when the child becomes a major, like turns 18 or so, when they change the ownership, how the taxes work on the policy?
Yeah, so a lot of the time, generally it's a 3-year rule for those gifts. I forget if it's the 3-year or 5-year. It's a 3 or 5-year rule. I'm not, a CFP financial advisor, so this is more of just
3-year rule. Yeah, 3 years.
Yeah, 3-year rule for those gifts. So generally, they hit age 18, age 21, and the parents will switch the ownership to them. Sometimes continue to pay for the policy if their children are still in college or don't have a salary that they can use to pay for the policy yet. But a lot of the time, they'll give it to them at age 18. By the time they're 21, they're outside of that 3-year rule. Even for policies that are kind of inside of that 3-year rule, almost always the money that's coming out of this IUL to them is going to be treated as a gift to them under the law, which I think the gift amount is like 11 million right now. For them. So it's not something that's generally taxed about. If you ever go into speak an attorney about, they'll tell you that same thing. I'm speaking very broadly and basic about it, but generally it's not much of a concern.
No, estate is 11 million, but the gift is only 15,000 per year, right?
Right. Yeah. The 11 million is the one I'm talking about. Generally, they'll just consider that the limit as part of their limit for that estate change.
Okay.
That's a great question. I wish I had better words to answer it.
Colin, another question.
Mm-hmm.
This is Mahesh. So with the rating for the juvenile, we start off with standard. And at what's the earliest age we can apply for an adult rate class?
Yeah, at age 18, they can apply for a better rate class. And at age 21, they can apply for the LTC rider. One great thing with these products is, if you get them at age 1, age 2, generally that's, if you have a healthy baby, it's pretty quick to get them approved at that standard non-tobacco rate. If your client hits age 18, age 21, they apply for better rate or LTC rider. Maybe they have diabetes or something happened. They have severe back issues, something that might get them declined or have an even worse rating than their current one. We're never going to lower the rating on the policy. So that client will have, at the worst, a standard non-tobacco rate locked in for the rest of their lives, but they can always apply for a better rate past age 18.
Got it. Thank you, Colin.
Yeah.
Hey, Colin, this is a follow-up question from Uday. After the age 21, what would be the tax? Like still, if you don't transfer your ownerships to your daughter or a son?
Yeah, I'm not 100% sure on that. What I could do is why don't you send me an email, and I'll have Mahesh will have my email for when I send out all the materials after this. I can also just put it in the chat here for you. Send me an email with those questions you have, and I can double check with our advanced sales team. We have an advanced sales member, Allison Hoyt is her name, who has her JD. She's been working in different law and advanced sales topics with her for a while, so she'll be able to help answer all those questions for you.
Okay, thank you.
That would be really great, Colin. Because the reason why I asked this question is it's a vague. I called nationwide 4 times this morning, and 4 people gave me different answers.
Yeah,
and it's a gray area, and it's hard to, and even if you Google it and read it, it's hard area.
Yeah. And Allison on our advanced sales team will tell you the exact same thing. She'll know the best answer, the most right answer possible. But she'll also tell you, consult with an attorney, because it always depends, when they're actually in a court of law. It can sometimes be different. Allison's, 90% correct about how it should be. But things can always be different once you're actually in a courtroom if they want to push for different reasons on different parts of the client's portfolio and transfer of their funds, depending how much there is. But yeah, Allison will be able to help answer those questions for you. And I promise it will be the correct answer.
Okay.
Do you have the email or
It's in the chat, Bala.
Yeah, I put it in the chat here. Just send me the email and I can touch base with Allison. It's Rick EC4, RICK, the letter E as an elephant, C as in Charlie, number 4 @nationwide.com. That's my email. Send me any questions you have about stuff like this, no matter how advanced it is. I may not know the immediate answer, but we have so many resources here at Nationwide. I promise you I can get you the right answer, or at least point you in the right direction.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
Thanks, Colin.
No problem. So these were the 2 main quotes that I wanted to run tonight. I'll save these and I'll email them to Mahesh as well, so you can take a look at them. I'll send the Illustrator file, so you can just jump in right where I was, play around with changing premiums, looking at different stuff if you want to. I'll also include those PDF sheets that I had as well. But for any other information you need, I really highly recommend going to nationwidefinancial.com and doing /WFG, especially for newer people on the call. Even if you've sold your first IUL, even if you've sold 100 IULs, which if you have sold 100 IULs and I don't know your name, I really need to know your name. But even if you've sold, your first 10, whatever it might be, there's so many webinars that we have available. I wish Dan Jones could jump on the call because he's one of our national trainers. And he does a really great job of talking through what they have available because he does all these presentations. We have 2 national trainers, Kelsey Lane and Dan Jones. The one you'll see the most of is Kelsey Lane. If you go to this website, click Stay Informed with Webinars. Kelsey does these daily webinars. There's a little orange check mark next to beginning webinars for you. So IUL2 Suite, showcase our products, talk about what they are, where do they fit in a client's portfolio. Then we go to IUL 101 and 201, kind of like you're in a college course again. They're hour-long presentations, trainings from Kelsey and Dan. Talk about the policy mechanics, talk about illustrations and case design. And then if you want to go further from there, we have more advanced topics you can talk about. I always like to highlight our advanced concept section. These will usually be Dan Jones or Allison Hoyt, who I just mentioned from our advanced sales team, talking about quick hitting sales ideas, similar profiles that I just did for you, just more examples. Hedging, we actually have a member from our actuarial team who will talk for an hour about how Nationwide makes its money. A lot of clients ask that a lot, say, oh, this IUL, it sounds too good to be true. Go to this hedging webinar. They'll tell you how we make our money with the money coming into the product, the cost that we're taking out of it, where that money goes, how we invest it, how Nationwide is a profitable company. And we have other great trainings here, effective listening and asking powerful questions, addressing apathy and overcoming concerns, not just product questions at Nationwide. We pride ourselves on doing trainings of everything you might need, making you a better seller, making you a better conversationalist with your clients. How do you be, and this is a term this is a term my manager always uses with me, is how do you be a hunter when it comes to your clients? How do you dig through all those tracks, all the little things you pick up on the ground to find that golden nugget, that answer you've been looking for to get to the end of the road, get that sale, get that illustration, get the ball moving. So we have really great presentations for those as well. So if you're looking for more information and you don't get enough from me, or you just get tired from hearing me speak, because I know I can talk a lot and I can talk fast, go to nationwidefinancial.com /WFG, click the webinars button, register for whatever times you have available in your schedule. And you can do more situations like this and learn everything you need to know.
Do we have time for more questions, or are we run out?
Yeah, I mean, I'm here till 9 and even a little bit after if you want. I don't want to keep anyone after, but feel free to ask questions about whatever you need.
Bala, we can maybe do 1 or at the most 2 questions before we wrap up.
Okay, sure. I have one question.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, regarding this IUL cash value, the question. Mm-hmm. Like if you have taken IUL, after 20 years or something, I'm giving an example.
Yeah.
You build up a cash value itself. like X amount. And I would like to know that, like, even they pay only for 20 years or over, the cash is built like maybe 50 or 100,000 example I'm giving. Like how much they can withdraw the money at that from the cash value itself? Like,
So
is there
up
any
to,
percentage you can give? I mean, yes.
yeah, up to 90% of that cash value they can access immediately. So if they have $100,000 cash value, 20 years down the road, they want to take out as much as they can from it without lapsing the policy, they can access 90% of it. So around $90,000 they can take immediately out of the product. Now, the reason we do those income scenarios showing a stream of income is because those segments are still maturing over one another. Those strategies are still being implemented in the product. So we like to continue with those as the policy is we're taking income out, so it can kind of offset some of that money we're taking out, give you a longer period of time. But if you want to take it as one lump sum, something happens, your clients need the money, up to 90% of the cash value they can access immediately.
But if you have to take a loan, like how much you can take the loan?
When you're taking the loan, what do you mean?
From the cash value itself, instead of withdrawing the cash from itself, if I take a loan.
Yeah, so if we're looking at an illustration, and let's say we're at age 65 here where it's 1.2 million. So if they want to take a loan out, they'd have up to 90% access to that. So they could take
same
out,
thing, whether you take a cash or loan, it's the same amount. You say.
Right, same amount. Yeah, when I'm talking about accessing the cash value, I'm talking about taking a loan.
Okay. But you can withdraw cash also, it's an option, is that?
Right. So if you look at on this left column where it has loan/partial surrenders, you'll see the total loan balance shows 0 here. When we're showing these income scenarios, it is showing withdrawing the cash in the product firstly before we start a loan.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah. Any other questions?
All right. Thank you, Colin. Wes, you have a question?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, that's a little bit longer of a question. I would say if you want to send me an email, we can set up another 30 minutes, just you and me, and run through some LTC quotes. The reason I say that is because if you have a longer time period to prepare for that long-term care, our Care Matters product is really the best product to look at for long-term care. It's not going to have as much cash value growth or access to it, but if you want the best of the best when it comes to long-term care, this is kind of where you'd want to be. So if I was just going to run this as, you know, the cheapest we can make it, a $1 10 pay, obviously it's not going to do $1. It's going to give you the minimum amount for the LTC on a, let's just make this a 30-year-old. So this is a $1 10 pay, which means it's going to give us a minimum. The nice thing about Care Matters is we have inflation benefit options. So we can add a 3% compounding inflation option or a 5% compounding inflation option. And this only goes towards the long-term care growth. This is a linked benefit product, has a residual death benefit attached to it. So it's still technically life insurance, but it's mainly built for long-term care. So it's the best long-term care you can get. Just quickly, since I know we don't have much time, they're paying $375 for 10 years. You'll see their total LTC benefit starts at $180,000. The far right column is where you'll see their LTC growth. So they put in $44,000 for 10 years. Once they hit age 75, which is around, you know, when we expect LTC claims to happen, 75 to 80, they have access to $730,000 of LTC benefit or higher. And the reason I highlight this product is this is all guaranteed, which the LTC rider, the IULs, you know, they're non-guaranteed products. We don't expect them to lapse, but this is a guaranteed long-term care solution. So really great for longer time frame clients. Otherwise, if you have a 50-year-old, 60-year-old looking for long-term care, the IUL with LTC rider is going to be the most cost-effective and make the most sense for them.
Do you offer LTC long-term care with linked benefits options also?
Yep. So this is what the Care Matters product is. I can do another training on this soon, since again, I know it's almost 9 o'clock here. But basically, you pay in premiums, 2-year benefits. You can add more years of benefits here. There's a residual death benefit. It shows kind of how the product is broken down on the first few pages. But yeah, it's a linked benefit policy. In my opinion, I know I don't talk bad about other carriers. I think this is the best long-term care product out there. Still considered life insurance due to the breakdown of the premium, since we have a life insurance component, and then all these other numbers you see here go directly to the LTC. So I can do another training on this soon, talk about Care Matters, because I think it is a great product.
Best thing, because that's very detailed in terms of long-term care.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Thank you, Colin, and thank you all for participating. So before we wrap up, I would like to let you all know the next session that we have, which will be on August 23rd, will be education planning with Education Encompassed. Zacharias Eden, who is CEO of Education Encompassed company, is going to come and he's going to talk about education planning with their team, how you can help families enroll children into their coaching program so they're better prepared through high school and for college. So August 23rd, mark your calendar, and we will see you in 2 weeks for that date. Well,
Awesome.
joining, so we're done for the day. Colin, again, thank you so much, and we'll talk to you soon.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I need to register for that August 23rd myself. That sounds great.
Yes.
Thanks, Colin.
Thank you,
Send it.
Colin.
Yeah,
Thank you.
I'll send all this stuff to Mahesh. Thanks again for having me. Have a great night, everyone.
Bye.